Hello and welcome back to Hot to the Top. Hope you're all doing well here today as we get ready to take on Celtic and Ajax in today's episode, both in the Champions League. So, since you guys were last here, we have played 4 games in between episodes, 3 wins and 1 loss. No prize for guessing who we lost to. Of course, we lost to Man City in the opening game of the Champions League group stage. A little bit heavy, I've got to say. A 5-1 loss to them with Lo Celso getting the goal for us. Considering that we beat them 3-1 last season in the European Super Cup, I was disappointed with that return, but I suppose we've got to deal with it. Man City are better than us. They will win the group, and we are probably going to lose them twice this season. But as long as we go through our Champions League group, that doesn't really matter to me. As long as we can beat them later on in the competition, if we do meet them again in the competition, that is all that matters to me. Just before that Man City game, we played Schaffhausen in a cup game. We won 3-1. Bunce, Kane and Smith the goals in that one. Nothing too important there. What is important, though, are the 2 league games afterwards. Both wins, a 2-1 victory over Lugano with Schneider and Silva Reece scoring the goals in that one before Harry Kane bagged a brace in a 2-0 victory over St. Gallen. So good results in between episodes for the most part. I think we would have expected to lose to Man City, but of course, losing 5-1 isn't brilliant. What it means for everything is that we currently sit bottom of our Champions League group by virtue of goal difference, but hopefully that will change today with wins over Celtic and Ajax, fingers crossed. In terms of the Swiss Super League table, we're actually sitting second in the table right now still. Basel have matched us so far with 6 wins, 1 draw and 1 loss, and Young Boys are only just behind us by a point after they've had 2 draws rather than 1 draw. And when I say 1 point behind us, I do mean 2 points behind us. As you can clearly see, 17 is 2 behind 19. But fingers crossed But hopefully this means it's going to be pretty tight this season. Hopefully we're all battling for the title and we have quite an exciting climax to the end of the season, which will be quite good. There's not really much else to update you on, if I'm honest with you. So I suppose we just jump straight into this first game coming up against Celtic. This is the team that hopefully is going to be picking up 3 points in the group stages. Kalas is in goal for us, being ever present so far this season with a backline that starts off with Dorval. We've been swapping him and Guardado around. Guardado's actually had more games than Dorval so far this season, but we're starting Dorville. What is he actually called? Dorival. I've been saying it wrong completely. Dorival. I'll try and remember Dorival. Either way, he's starting at left back today alongside Ross McQuaid and Harold Dinier Bunce with Silva Reece at right back. Pedro and Giovanni Lo Celso start in that midfield partnership, although they actually should be swapped around. So Giovanni Lo Celso is a deep line playmaker and Pedro is the centre midfield on attack. Nunes is in front of them in that attacking midfield. He is cementing himself to be probably one of the best players in the squad. He's been really, really good and consistent so far this season. Capitano makes his first start on the wing for a little while. We don't have any European restrictions in this particular fixture, so we can actually play more than 5 non-EU players, which means he's going to start today. We've been playing a lot of, Billy Schmitz recently because, of course, the 5 in non-EU players. Capitano's been taking a hit from that recently, so Billy Schmitz has been playing a lot of league games. And Selmy is on that left-hand side today. We've been trying to play him more and more because I see him as a more long-term aspect than Brian Gill. So we're giving more game time to Anselmi as he improves on that left wing, but we do swap him around with Harry Kane when Harry Kane gets tired, who is going to be leading the line for us today, up with 4 goals so far this season. Not quite Matthew Bottle's levels of goals, but we're still doing pretty well, I would say, in the league, and for the most part, okay in the Champions League for now, although we did expect to lose to Man City, so I suppose we're not doing brilliantly, are we? As kickoff is upon us here today then, we need to be picking up a big win against Celtic. Now, Rangers proved to be much more difficult than we anticipated them to be last season, so I do expect Celtic to be equally as difficult to come across, although saying that, they don't really have any wide players, so hopefully we can try and capitalise on that. They're playing a very narrow formation, quite the Brazilian style of formation. I feel like that's quite a lot of Brazilian clubs traditionally play that sort of 4-2-2-2, very narrow style. As Pedro gets on the ball, putting it out towards Giovanni Lo Celso, puts it across to Anselmi, who can't win the ball, but we do win it back through Nunes as Pedro gets it back on the ball, out wide out to Silva Reece, who can put a good ball into the middle, as he has done so many times this season, onto the noggin of Luca Anselmi, and he's got his 4th goal of the season, and we're 1-0 up against Celtic 20 minutes into the game. So I suppose you've not really seen too much of it, obviously, because we've only had 1 episode, but Silva Reece, despite not having brilliant crossing attributes, can put in a very good cross like that, and Anselmi gets on near that one, putting it past Pozovec in goal, 1-0. Beautiful stuff, already in the lead in today's game, which is fantastic stuff. If we can just sort of hold on to this lead now for the rest of the game, that would be fantastic. Obviously, getting a few more goals would be helpful in sort of cementing ourselves as a top European club. Celtic haven't really been able to do much in this first half. Had 4 shots, 2 on target with 38% possession, so not much. We are dictating the play right now as it stands, in my opinion, but we do need to be doing better than this as Haroldinho Bunce plays it out towards Capitano, getting it back to Capitano, who can look to come up the pitch a little bit, get to that wide to Anselmi, our number 9, who races forward down this left-hand side with plenty of space. Can he get across into the middle? No, he wins a penalty instead, which I think Harry Kane should be taking, although it's going to VAR. Harry Kane, I think, is the best penalty taker in the squad, so it's likely that he will be taking it. As Johnny, has he given away a penalty? Let's find out as the VAR decision takes its time. Referee comes back onto the pitch. What's it going to be, lad? It usually is a penalty, and there we go. A penalty has been given. Harry Kane will be taking the penalty, looking for his 5th goal of the season. Go on, lad. Bury this one. Steps up. Bottom corner. Cool as you like. 5th goal of the season for Harry Kane and 2-0 up against Celtic. I mean, we've not really done much in this game in terms of highlight-worthy action, apparently, according to the game and things like that. We're going to swap Kane and Anselmi over and bring on Brian Gill on that left-hand side. I've got to say, Capitano is not playing particularly well today either, so Billy Schmitz can come on for him for the final 25 minutes or so of the game. As I was saying, not many highlight-worthy things going on in today's game, apparently. We've had 19 shots, but only 2 or 3 highlights, and they're mostly the goals for us. So really, we are just being clinical when we need to be. I think we're probably wasting a few many opportunities, and that's probably just still because we've got quite a few new players still gelling together. I think come the end of the season, we'll be able to win games by a lot more than we are right now. But a good 2-0 win against Celtic there puts us back 2nd in the group, which is good going. So pretty pleased with that one. I believe that Young Boys were also playing tonight. We'll have a check how they got on. Let's not check how they got on. They lost 4-0. I know they did draw their first game, though, so they are at least on 1 point in the Champions League. Basel are playing as well at some point, as we've got to reject some transfer bids that have come for our under-18 players. Basel should be playing tonight on the Wednesday night, so we can see how Basel are getting on. They are playing against Lyon, which is a winnable game for them, I've got to say. They haven't won it yet because there's other games going on first. But now, as we've clicked continue, I reckon Basel have got a great chance of going through their group, especially when they win 2-1 like that. Let's have a quick look at all of these groups. And actually, we should probably look at the other teams in Europe as well, because we've not looked at that yet already this season. So Basel currently 2nd in the group on 3 points. They must have lost to Bayern Munich in that first game. Obviously, we're 2nd in our group because we lost to Man City, but won against Celtic. And then Young Boys are bottom of their group on 1 point, having drawn with someone. I'm not quite sure which one of these teams. As we look into the Europa League, only Luzern got there this season. They've only played 1 game so far, but they're sitting 3rd in the group with Besiktas, Milan and Sarajevo. And if we look into the Europa Conference League, it's pretty mental to see that our parent club, Benfica, who we don't actually get any loan players off anymore because their players aren't good enough for our first team squad. And it sort of shows because they're now in the Conference League, whereas we are in the Champions League. But Paolo Bernardo, a former player of ours, constantly on loan, is currently the best player in the competition, which is good to see for a former Grasshopper player. We're looking, though, for Swiss clubs, and Thun should be there, but I can't see Thun there, which is quite frustrating. So, and Lausanne should be there as well. Let's have a quick look how they got on in European football. So let's double check this. Yeah, Thun came 5th, and it was Lugano who came 6th, not Lausanne who came 9th in the end. So Thun should have been in European football this season, and they lost to Hibs in the qualifying rounds, which is tough. And then if we look at Lugano, they should be in it as well. They lost to a team that I've not heard of before, Zlin. That's kind of frustrating, a Czech team, so there we go, fair enough. Anyway, as I said at the start of the episode, we're also going to do the Ajax game today, which means I've got to go and play Servette and Thun off camera, so I will see you in just a second time for the Ajax game. And just like that, we are back. We had 2 wins. And just like that, we're back with 2 wins under our belts. A 2-0 win over Servette in between the highlights, I suppose. Harry Kane and Randy Schneider with the goals in that one. Before Alex Silver-Reese, who's been getting himself in and amongst the goals recently, got a brace against Thun in a 4-1 victory, with Harry Kane and Nunes also picking themselves up on the score sheet. So good results in between nice little, these 2 Champions League games, I should say. It puts us top of the table as things stand, because Basel also drew a game, whereas Young Boys also lost one of their games as well. So we're now 2 points clear and 5 points clear, respectively, of our 2 biggest rivals, and 10 points clear already of Luzern, in 4th place. Thun in 5th, also 10 points clear of them as well. So good stuff, I would say. There are a couple of changes for the game against Ajax. Class is in goal still, but we have a slightly different backline with Sturgeon and Thad Davis moving into the backline today, just because other players are tired and need to rotate them a little bit. Schneider comes in for Lo Celso, who's looking tired, and Capitano stays on the pitch, actually, I should say. Billy Schmitz has played both games off camera, but is looking quite tired after that, so Capitano comes back onto the pitch to replace Billy Schmitz. Other than that, though, the team should be the same as it was moments ago for you, so we're going to jump straight back into it and take on Ajax. So kickoff is upon us once again, and very early on we just hit the crossbar there against what I would say is a very good Ajax side who just aren't really getting the rub of the green in the Champions League. Only picked up 1 point so far from their fixtures, and that's currently the game we're playing right now, because of course it's live table, isn't it? So they've lost both their games so far, and they're drawing to us right now puts us on that 1 point. So they are a better side than I think they've been given credit for. I think they probably deserve to be having a few more points on the board, and hopefully they don't do that against us, but they are a good side, I would say, with some good players, although playing Delafeu up front as when he's a winger in real life, I feel like that's probably part of their problems, perhaps, and maybe that's something they need to look to change in the future, as Thad Davis plays it back in towards Kalas, who plays it back up towards Ross McQuaid, back to Kalas as pressure's been put on by the Ajax players there, as Dorville comes up that left-hand side of the pitch, looking to put a cross into middle as he comes unchallenged pretty much. Plays back to Randy Schneider, and then he puts a great ball over to Capitano, and it's just saved by the keeper. Nunez's corner is swung into the middle, but goes all the way through and can be cleared by the Ajax defence. So not really putting too much pressure on Ajax so far. Only 3 shots in the opening 25 minutes from us, which I feel is a little bit tame, I've got to say. Considering that we have bagged some goals in today's episode, I feel like we should be putting some more pressure on Ajax. So what I'm going to do is say get creative out there for the final 5 minutes or so of this first half. Hopefully that might just change something and just generate something towards the end of the half. Maybe not, as we go into half-time, 0-0. So we're going to go aggressive, far from pleased from what I've seen from the team. Everyone looks fired up by that, which is good to see. Hopefully they actually show that, though, in the second half. We need to win today, because if we don't win today, we will still be level on points with Celtic as things stand. They're currently 0-0 with Man City. So ideally, Man City will be winning that game, and we beat Ajax, and then we have a good points buffer between us and Celtic. But with 25 minutes to go, the second half is going ridiculously quickly. Tactics, please. We need to make a change, although there is a highlight going on right now. Cleared, but only as far as Maguire, who plays it back in towards Redden, who can get into the area, shoots, and Kalas makes a good save there. We need to change something today, and Capitano is a player who's just not playing particularly well in today's episode, which is a great shame. Brian Gill can come onto that right-hand side as an inside forward on attack. We're going to make him that instead. We'll leave Anselmi where he is. Harry Kane up front is absolutely fine. Although saying that, Anselmi's not playing particularly well either. So actually, we'll put Brian Gill on that left-hand side, and we'll bring the tired Billy Schmitz onto the right-hand side instead as a winger. And hopefully that might just do things in our favour with 20 minutes to go or so. Again, we'll shout, get creative out there. We'll go on to very attacking to try and grab a goal at the end of today's game, as Kalas plays it out towards Sterigu, up towards Thad Davis, who races forward down that right-hand side of the pitch, puts the ball across to Brian Gill. Brian on the edge of the area, back out to Thad Davis. Great ball that was. Thad Davis can't make the most of it, though, unfortunately. Billy Schmitz can get the ball in the middle, cleared. And is this going to be an Ajax counter-attack, as on a yellow card, our defender wasn't really keen to make the challenge there. And luckily for us, the ball goes over the bar there. So Ajax not making the most of that counter-attack. But we've got another chance right now. I think this is going to be a red card for an Ajax player here. By looks of things, it is. Bruno is off the pitch. We've now got 10 men to play against for the final 10 minutes or so. Please make the most of this one, lads. As Billy Schmitz, has he just won a penalty? Maybe it's right on the edge of the area, which is why the referee is going to VAR. If we get a penalty out of this, we'll be very, very lucky. And I'm backing Harry Kane to put this one in the back of the net. Coley. We're familiar with Coley's, but this isn't our Coley, obviously. Has he given away a penalty, though? Will this be another penalty for us, which is it's a free kick. That's kind of frustrating, right on the edge of the area. Not quite sure why they're lining up like this. Surely you just have someone stood there to literally just pass it to and smack it in the back of the net. So apparently not, and we don't make anything from that. Right, a final shout. Demand more. We've got 3 minutes of added time, normal time, before added time comes in. Thad Davis' corner is cleared only as far as Pedro, though. Back to Thad Davis, who can put the ball back in towards Pedro. Tackle, but Thad Davis wins it back. Sterigu back to Thad Davis, who puts it in the middle. Brian Gill Nunez. Oh, it's bouncing around the area, not gone in the back of a net. And Maguire makes a good tackle there. Ajax just about get this one cleared. Luckily for us, Man City are beating Celtic, so as it stands right now, we are a point ahead of Celtic, but I'd like to go a bit further ahead and go 3 points ahead of them if we pick up 2 extra points from today's fixture. We've got 4 minutes of added time to play. Kalas on the ball, up to Dorival. I've been saying his name wrong all episode, haven't I? Dorival. That's what I'm trying to say. Dorival up towards Harry Kane. Harry Kane is tackled by Maguire, and it's going to VAR again. I feel like this one is outside the area. I don't think this one is going to be a penalty. I think this is more clear-cut to be outside of the area. Hopefully the referee decides to give a penalty, though, because that would be fantastic. He comes back and says it's penalty. No, free kick. I was going to say, is that a penalty? No, he said it's outside the box. Nunez to take this one then. Go on. Curl was in the top corner. He doesn't. It goes all the way through. And I feel like we're just not going to score the goal today as the clock ticks down. And in the end, it is 0-0. Got to say, slightly disappointed with that one. But I suppose we were away from home to Ajax. So a little bit understandable we couldn't quite find that winner. But at least we are still second in the group. Man City, as I said, going on to win the group pretty much. But I think we should be pretty comfortable to finish second. Young Boys picked up a 0-0 draw with PSG though, which is pretty good going. So hopefully if Young Boys get some good results going their way, they might be able to do some decent stuff. Basel, where are they? Are second in their group still because they've still not played. I thought we swapped over. I thought they'd be playing on the Tuesday. We're playing on the Wednesday. Apparently not. We'll go and see how Basel do very, very quickly before we end today's episode. Basel went on to go and beat Dynamo Kiev 3-0, whereas Lyon beat Bayern Munich. Does that mean that they go top of their group? Basel go top of their group. Fingers crossed then. This is going to be the first season that we've had where 2 teams go through into the later stages of the Champions League. That would be fantastic. Whilst I can see Chelsea on the screen right there, let's have a quick look at their team. How is Bottles getting on? I can't see Bottles on the score sheet much. There he is. He's got a goal there. Made 7 games and 4 goals, which is pretty good going. 4 goals and 10 appearances overall. He looks like he's doing all right at Chelsea, but obviously not quite as well at Grasshopper because it is a more difficult league. But I back him to get 20 goals or so in the league this season for Chelsea. Hopefully we don't come up against Chelsea and have to play against Bottles because that would be just depressing. I'd be so upset about that if that happened. Next episode then, we are going to be playing against Man City and Celtic in a very similar fashion to today's episode where we'll skip those 2 games in the middle off camera and sort of thing. So look forward to that one and hopefully qualifying for the later stages of a Champions League by getting through all of that. So thank you ever so much for watching today's episode. I hope you have enjoyed it. And if you have done, please do drop a like on the video for me and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. And I'll see you next time for some more Hot to the Top. Take care. Goodbye.